You've worked with so many thousands of clients. I'm sure you've been doing this for more than 30 years. You've seen every bad diet, crash diet that there is, and you do talk about this in your book. Are there any instances where some of those things do work long-term?
I've seen the South Beach diet, the Atkins zone, the Pritikin, the cabbage soup diet, the lemon drop diet, the master cleanse. People are looking for a quick fix here. You can lose more weight on a scale by cutting carbs than any other way. In 1 week, you can drop 10 pounds of water by cutting carbs.
If somebody feels like they are plateauing, then is that a nutrition fix or is that a workout tweak, or does it just depend on the person?
We don't know if we love carbs or fat, but let's for sure just love protein, because we know that protein's tough to store as extra body fat. You have to convert it to carbohydrates, and then you have to convert the carbohydrates to fat. There's certain terms that we're scared from, which we shouldn't. The term artificial, the term chemical, GMO, we're confused by terms like organic and natural. We don't know what any of these things mean. There are some films I've worked on where I had to fatten people up for a role, and I did it with 3 things. I did it with trail mix. I did it with granola. It's just too easy to eat those things, right? I did it with peanut butter stuffed pretzels.
These are all my airplane snacks, by the way.
They're so far down the line of things we should be worried about. And if you want to have a diet soda, big freaking deal, have a diet soda.
I read your book, by the way. I
You did?
did not get a physical copy. So yesterday I'm like, so I email your publisher and I got the galley and I read it yesterday and today.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Oh, no, stop.
It's amazing.
Really?
I love that you have the illustrations too,
Yeah.
and the food lists and the recipes. So it's not like, I feel like sometimes the books can, not yours, but health, diet, nutrition, whatever, it can be so dense that like after a chapter or 2, I tap out. But this is like, you break it up. I like the client stories. I like the pictures. I like the layout of it. I like the little Harley hacks. Like, yeah, it was great.
I also feel like the better you understand something, the simpler you can explain it. Yeah. And I feel like sometimes when people write nutrition books, what baffles brains, right? Like they're trying to really, this is so complex what I'm going to, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
There's like a lot of word salad.
Have a potato. Everyone needs to chill.
Yeah. So I thought that it would be fun to start with some like lightning round, quick fire questions. And then I have some that I want to circle back to after the conversation, but I'm curious about these as well. So what's your favorite workout song right now?
My favorite workout song right now. Gosh, that's so good. You know, I really just have TV on when I work out lately.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm so used to listening to music all day when I'm training clients. And I listen to music all day. I listen to 8 hours a day of music. So when I'm working out, I want to be distracted and entertained. I've been watching Stick, the golf show on Apple TV, the comedy. And I've been watching, I just finished Friends and Family.
Oh yeah, we watched that.
Friends and Neighbors.
Yep. John Hamm.
Oh, I love doing like heavy deadlifts and watching John Hamm. So yeah.
Because he's so hot.
He is so good. He's hot. Sure,
Yeah.
he's hot.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he's so good.
Interesting, because you and I have gone through a lot of music genres in our years of training. What really reminds me of you is dance hall.
Yes.
Remember
Good
the dance hall?
Yes. Shabba Ranks.
Yeah.
Freddie McGregor, Ninja Man, Buju Banton.
Mad Cobra.
Mad Cobra, girl, right?
Yeah.
Shaka Demus and Pliers.
Yep.
Yeah.
We also did we did a Drake phase. I remember when that album came out a couple years ago. That always reminds me of training with you. So anyway.
You know what I'm listening to now?
What?
Clipse's new album.
Oh.
Clipse has a new album. Pusha T and his brother.
That sounds like, yes.
Like, honestly, Push is a dear friend.
Yeah.
And I've worked with for 20 years. Their album is, they're finally getting their flowers. It's amazing. They just
Clipse,
did Tiny
like
Desk.
grindin' Clipse?
Clipse like grindin'.
No way.
Yes. Yes. Hell
Their
Hath
first
No Fury.
album in like 20 years? Or have they been putting things
so
out?
Push's brother left music and he went to work as a minister, I think, or as a preacher. He's an incredible guy, great lyricist. No Malice. And so they're back together and Pharrell produced the album and it's so good.
I have to listen to this. Interesting. Favorite fitness gadget or app?
I'm old school and I helped sort of with the launch of Fitbit back in the day. A lot have come out since then. I still use Fitbit all the time. And so I use the app to sync with the device. I'm wearing one right now. But I would say that's a big one for me. TRX strap still, I love using that as a gadget. And if there's one other one I would say are lifting hooks. These little, right, that go around your wrist and there's a hook. So if I'm doing weights that my grip can't handle, but my legs can or my back can, then I've got those hooks.
Amazing. Favorite healthy restaurant?
Any Japanese restaurant, you can eat healthy. and it's delicious and there's not heavy sauces and stuff. So yeah.
Go-to comfort meal. You're going to self-disclose in this episode because you do it in your book.
I would say a really good deli sandwich, a really good corned beef sandwich with French fries, maybe a Reuben sandwich. Yeah.
Favorite cheat meal?
My son loves hamburgers, and I really love taking him to hamburger places. He likes Burger She Wrote and For the Win and Hi Ho. So a burger and fries I love.
Okay, last one. What do you eat when no one's watching?
I call it Italian lubricant. It's otherwise known as Nutella.
Really?
That or chocolate chip cookies, yeah.
When we were in Tuscany, we had this chef at the villa. And I don't know if Chris sent you a picture of this, but he made the most amazing pizzas. And he made this Nutella pizza. It was...
Stop
Everybody
it.
on YouTube can see his face right now. Yeah.
I would not have
He's coming here in
that.
February. So.
Oh, he did tell me about this.
Yeah. Chris is very excited.
Because Chris called me. He's like, do you have a pizza oven?
Yeah,
like,
he's buying a pizza
why do I have a
oven.
pizza? He's like, don't worry, I'll get one. For what?
Yeah.
He's like, never mind.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I just got back from Europe, as we know, where I was basically living on bread and pastries and French fries, which is very common there, and pasta and things like that. And it's interesting because when you're there and you see people who live there or local people, I really don't think I saw any obese people. And yet here we're told that carbs are bad and that you can't eat bread, pasta, rice, you name it, that's the enemy. And you are setting out to change that myth, right? To dispel that myth.
You know, growing up, we were told that fat was bad and carbs were good, and Snackwell cookies. Remember Snackwell?
The chocolate?
Right?
Yes. Oh my God.
For those of you who don't remember, Nabisco came out with, I think it was Nabisco, with these cookies that were zero fat. They were loaded with sugar and hyper processed things, but because they were fat free, you could have boxes and boxes of them, which obviously is not the right answer. The first time I went to Japan, there was no one there that I saw that was overweight. I mean, no one. And I'd read that they had the longest lifespan in the world and the lowest incidence of diabetes and heart disease and cancer, most cancers. Yet they consume most of their calories from carbohydrates, specifically white rice. And then I'd come back here and they're like, no, carbs are bad. Don't eat white rice. And then I see everyone here is, such a high obesity rate. I think right now, Japan has a 4% obesity rate and the US is 44%. Japan has amongst the highest carbohydrate diet in the world. The US has amongst the lower carbohydrate diet consumptions as a percentage of calories in the world. And I took more time and I've read every nutrition book over the years. I've read the China study. I've read the Okinawan diet. I've read the Mediterranean diet. I've read the Scandinavian diets. And all of these diets receive, exponentially more carbohydrates as a percentage of calories than we do here in the United States. And I never understood where this messaging came from, this low carbohydrate messaging. And then it sort of dawned upon me that people are looking for a quick fix here. And you can lose more weight on a scale by cutting carbs than any other way. It's all water. But in 1 week, you can drop 10 pounds of water by cutting carbs. And people are looking for that. And from a scientific perspective, we know that a low carb diet and a high carb diet, long term, there is no benefits of a low carb diet for long-term weight loss at all. So why do it? And who thinks that a bacon double cheeseburger is healthy for you as long as you don't eat the bun or the tomato, which we know is not. It's calories in versus calories out, and that's really all that matters.
And in your book, you talk about how in like the late 90s, early 2000s, there was this shift where, it went from everything being low fat and fat was the enemy and the Snackwells and all of that to low carb. And then around the same time, that's when obesity rates started going up, right? So is that causation or correlation? Can you say?
I can't say it's causation because there's so many other factors, but I think correlation for sure. I think it's coincidence that at the exact same time those things happen. Other things happen. The internet became bigger and maybe people were a little less active. But I think the biggest issue is people consuming more calories. And when you're eating most of your calories from foods that are way more calorically dense, fat, it's almost 2.5 times the calorie density of carbohydrates or protein, you're going to eat more calories. And when we bless certain foods, like you can have a fatty cut of meat and cooked in clotted butter and with cream on the side, and as long as you don't have that carrot, you're going to be okay. We have to sort of question why. There was a crazy stat I read between 1974 and 2024, that 50-year period. The average American consumes 700 calories more per day. Okay. Of those 700 additional calories, how many do you think come from sugar?
80%.
40 out of the 700
Oh,
additional calories come from sugar.
okay.
Most of it is coming from added fats.
Interesting.
And that's really been the biggest change in the American diet. Sure, we eat more, but we eat more because we're eating more calorically dense foods. And most of that is as a result of having fats. And when we think about certain foods that are carbs, oh, I don't want to eat that. I cut out pastries, I cut out donuts, I cut out French fries and potato chips. All those carbs are cut out and I've lost weight. Actually, none of those are carbs. Those are all fats. They receive more than 50% of their calories from fat. So you're cutting out a calorically dense food of which most of the calories are fat. You don't get fat from eating a baked potato. You get fat from having a baked potato loaded with sour cream and bacon and butter and all of those other things. But the potato itself is harmless.
Over the years, you've worked with so many thousands of clients. I'm sure you've been doing this for more than 30 years, right? Which is crazy.
34
you're
years,
only
1992.
40.
Isn't that wild?
And so I'm sure that you've seen every kind of fad diet, crash diet that there is. And you do talk about this in your book as well. Are there any instances where some of those things do work long term? Like, are there any outliers?
I'm going to pull this up because I created this list for us today. I want to show you how wild this is. So there's all of these case studies of academics trying to prove the point that weight loss is just calories in versus calories out. It's the law of thermodynamics. That is really what makes people lose weight. If you eat less, you're going to, versus more. So this was a great one. So the Twinkie diet. So Mark Hobb lost 27 pounds. He was a professor at Kansas State University. He lost 27 pounds from only eating Twinkies, Doritos, and Oreos for 10 weeks. He had 1,800 calories a day. So given 1,800 calories, anything he ate, as long as it was 1,800 calories, had him lose weight. And that was Twinkies, Doritos, and Oreos. And then you had the McDonald's diet. So John Cisna, another professor, he ate 2,000 calories a day every day, only McDonald's. For 90 days, he lost 37 pounds and actually improved his cholesterol level. Chris Voigt did the potato diet, and he only ate potatoes for 60 days. He lost 21 pounds, and most of his blood markers were improved. You had Penn Jillette, who also did, he lost 100 pounds by almost eating only potatoes. And so the list goes on of all of these examples of people. As long as you control for calories, no matter what you eat, you're going to lose weight if you control for calories. Now, you want to have quality calories, and you shouldn't eat Twinkies every day. It's not necessarily healthy for you. But as far as weight loss goes, it's calories in versus calories out.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of aligns with like the whole if it fits your macros movement, which I did 10 or so years ago whenever I started my Instagram account and trying to get in shape. And that philosophy was basically you can fit or you can eat anything as long as it fits into whatever macros you have. And so sure, you can eat 1,800 calories of gummy bears or whatever, or you can eat 1,800 calories of broccoli and you're going to have the same effect when it comes to your weight, right? But you're going to feel like it probably if
you're going to
do.
feel like shit, and you're going to be hungrier if you're not getting quality calories. So if you take two identical twins who have the same physical activity, and one gets 1,800 calories a day from salmon and broccoli, and one gets 1,800 calories a day from chocolate cake, I know which one I'd want to be. They would lose the same amount of weight. They wouldn't have the same health markers, but they'd lose the same amount of weight. The difference is the one getting chocolate cake with all their calories is probably going to be really hungry because they're not getting fiber to make them feel full. They're not getting protein. They're not getting certain healthy fats, whereas their brother would be satiated, most likely.
I'm just trying to listen from the audience perspective because I know that there are going to be people who say it's not just calories in, calories out. I did keto and it changed my life. I do intermittent fasting, blah, 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 whatever it is. Hormones, so many variables people think play into, the overall.
There's so many anecdotes of people who've been successful doing different things. And so in 34 years of practice, I've seen the South Beach diet, the Atkins zone, the Pritikin, the cabbage soup diet, the lemon drop diet. I've seen the master cleanse. I've seen the total 930 or all of these things. Every diet works for some people for some amount of time. And then it doesn't. And when you eliminate an entire food group like carbohydrates, there's only so long you can do this keto. And I think it really got its big popularity from Dr. Atkins. May he rest in peace. I don't want to slam him at all. When he created the Atkins diet, which was the original keto diet, It was because he had all of these obese people that needed heart surgery, and it was dangerous to put them under general anesthesia. He'd give them this crash diet where he cut out almost all the carbs. They'd lose weight really quickly so they can get the heart surgery to save their life. He had a good intention when he created it. He never said this is a healthy diet. He never says this is something you should continue with for an extended period of time. But people love that when you step off a scale in a week, you cut out carbs, you lost all this weight. It's not all fat. It's very little fat. It might be no fat, but they just love that number. And so that's why people gravitated to this low carb thing, which is not necessarily healthy for you. And we know for a fact that the quality of the calories you're skipping, whole grains and legumes and fruits and vegetables, are things you need to live a very healthy, long life.
I remember when that diet first came out, or when it got popular, because I was in high school and my boyfriend's family, I would eat dinner with them like every night, and they started doing the diet, and we started eating a lot of cauliflower mashed potatoes. And I was like, that's kind of sustained. Like, I feel like that's still a thing.
Yeah, it somehow has stayed, unfortunately.
Cauliflower in smoothies, cauliflower. I got Goop Kitchen the other day because I was like so jet lagged I didn't want to cook, and they had mashed potatoes, but it's half mashed potatoes, half cauliflower.
That's a bit better.
Yeah, it lightens it up a little bit. Yeah, you don't notice it.
I don't want to piss off Gwyneth. I'm
I know,
sending
you
love
guys
to
are
Gwyneth
friends.
and Brad. But at the same
Goop
time,
Kitchen.
anybody who swears they love the mashed cauliflower or cauliflower rice, you're fooling yourself. That's like people who have raw, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free pastries and think it's the best thing in the world. No, it's not.
Me.
But when you compare it to a real one, you're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, totally.
It.
Well, and you say in your book too, like as soon as you make a certain kind of food group prohibited, that's exactly how you create cravings, essentially. So it's like you have this compensatory response. Once you start depriving something, I remember I had this woman, Evelyn Tribole, on my show years ago. She was kind of the head of like the intuitive eating movement. She's a registered dietitian, wrote books on it, very like old school. And she said pretty much what we're talking about. When you restrict things, it's like when you hold your breath when you're underwater. When you come up, you're going to go, and the same thing happens with diet. If you're white knuckling and restricting and something is off limits, it's going to be all you think about. And then your body is going to suddenly cave. And that's like how binge eating habits come to be. And
exactly. Yep.
It creates that cycle.
And when I hear people say, I will never eat that ingredient or never eat that food, I always say, why? It's bad for you. Okay. It might be bad for you to have throughout the day, every month, throughout your life. But what's wrong with having it now? I mean, nothing. And so like you said, if you are too regimented and too strict with cutting out certain things, your body will find a way to fight back.
So you mentioned fiber before. And in the Carb Reset, you talk about protein, fibers, and fats giving your brain a stop signal. So let's talk about that and talk about what people should be focusing on when they eat.
The idea of satiety, of feeling full, I think one of the most important things of managing your weight is managing your appetite. And that's a huge thing. It's funny, I had a client who called me 2 days ago and said, I'm on location filming something, and where I am, marijuana is not legal. So I haven't had any cannabis and I've lost 16 pounds. I came up with a new idea for a new food book. It's the no weed diet. And it's because their appetite is ravenous when they're using cannabis. And so they're somewhere where it's not. So keeping that appetite in check. The Carb Reset is not about cannabis. The Carb Reset is about eating the right combination of foods to make you feel fuller, faster, and longer. And when you have fiber, and when you have protein, and when you have healthy fats, I call that the holy trinity of satiety, you're going to feel full faster and for longer, and you're going to be less likely to overeat and eat the wrong foods. So that's important.
And you have a whole system, right? So let's talk about PATH.
PATH, exactly.
And there's illustrations in the book to show you what this looks like, which I found very helpful.
Did you ever weigh your food? Did you ever weigh your food?
Oh my God, yeah. Right. When I was doing macros, and it just became very insidious because I got it in my head where I knew how much everything weighed and how much that meant in macros. So like, even if I was just looking at a food, I would calculate in my head, oh, that's like X amount of grams. And that means that it has this many, grams of fat and this many. And it was so hard to kind of untrain my brain from thinking that way. I mean, it took a long time to break up with that approach.
It works, but it's very antisocial and it's not good for your mental health.
Yeah.
So I want to get people away from measuring everything in a very micro way and do it in a bigger picture, more of a gestalt way. Using your hand is the easiest thing. People with bigger people tend to have bigger hands, tend to require more food. So I base it on your hand size to some extent. So PATH is a palm full of carbohydrates, P for palm. So how much carbohydrates fit in your palm, whether it be whole grains, high fiber fruits, starchy vegetables, sweet potatoes, legumes, what fits in your palm. A in the word PATH is for all the vegetables you want, as much as you want. You don't even have to have any, but if you have them, there's no limit. T in PATH is for thumb, the mass of your thumb of healthy fat, nuts, seeds, olives, etc. And H is at least the mass of your hand of protein. So if I'm breaking down a meal, I'm having a fistful of eggs in the morning and I'm having some diced peppers in there. There's my vegetables, and I'm having some avocado as my healthy fat. There's my thumb, and then a palm full of carbs. So with that, I'm either having some oats or some high fiber toast or some berries, and I've got my PATH. It just really, really simplifies things, and you don't get lost in the details.
You can really see how people go off the rails, though. Like, I'm just thinking of myself, and I'm thinking a thumb of avocado, like I would eat a half an avocado or a whole avocado. Or like when it comes to, cooking with oils or something, I have the graza thing drizzling with all the olive oil. It's probably like a quarter cup or more, like on vegetables. And then eating rice as I'm cooking. You've been over for dinner when I made that rice. Like, I'll just munch on things. And I think people don't realize, and I'm sure that you have this with your clients where they're like, no, I swear I'm only eating, X, Y, Z. And then when you really look at it, especially in that way, again, because I'm a visual person, it's like, oh, wow, you realize how much you might be overshooting the mark.
And not to get too philosophical with it, but part of the PATH, using your hand, is you have to take your hand off of your eye. And by that, I mean, quite often I can be in a room with you. I can be in a room with all of you. I can cover my eyes and pretend I'm the only one in the room. We do that with diet. And my favorite is Costco. If you ever go to Costco, those calories don't count, right? All those free samples, they don't count. They don't. I think I figured out I ate 1,400 calories of free samples that don't count last time I was there. And so, taking your hands off your eyes and not pretending like these things don't matter, I think is really, really important. That's part of PATH.
Let's talk about things like breads and pastas. You talk about good, better, best in your book, which I loved this concept. A lot of foods are villainized, especially things like white bread or certain kind of grains and pastas. So when it comes to including those things in somebody's diet, what's your philosophy on that?
Yes. Best, better, and good. Is that what I had it as?
Good, better, best.
Good, better, best.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I do like that. Gosh, that was good. I think when it comes to any ingredient, it's like that. There is no bad ingredient. There's no ingredient that we should never, ever have. But I think when it comes to breads, for example, you want to have a bread in a perfect world that is, you can still see a bit of the grains. It's a little less refined. It's a little granola-y and nutty. And fermentation is really important. So something that's been fermented a long period of time. Sourdough I love as from a fermentation perspective. The second would be any bread that has at least 3 grams per slice and 100 calories, less than 100 calories per slice. So at least it's got some fiber. It's a little less refined. It's not as much as the first one. And the third would be really any bread that brings you joy, whether it be a croissant, whether it be a white bread, whatever it may be. So I make my kids a healthier French toast. And the bread we use is not the most high fiber bread, but I take some blackberries and I heat them up on the side and make a high fiber fruit compote that goes on top of the egg white. So I don't need the fiber in the bread because I'm getting it from somewhere else in the meal.
What about when it comes to things like pasta?
When it comes to pastas, I think anytime you can opt for a pasta that's going to have a higher fiber content is great. There are wheat pastas. Like whole wheat pasta actually has a pretty good profile. There's good amounts of fiber. There's a good amount of protein in there. If you're someone who is celiac disease and you have to stay away, there's lots of legume-based pastas, bean-based pastas, lentil-based pastas that are super high in fiber, super high in protein. Those are also really great. And then there's just whatever pasta you want, just the best pasta. What makes pasta something not great for weight management is really what you put in it and how much you eat. And if you're having a cream sauce or fatty meat you're adding to it, that's where most of the calories are going to come from, not from the pasta. So the pasta itself, if it's loaded, if there's vegetables or lean proteins in there and you're using a tomato sauce, especially if you're eating a spice in there, all of that will help with the satiety so you don't overeat it.
Well, and that was the thing. Like in Europe, it's not even the main course. Sometimes it can be, but oftentimes, especially in Italy, it's appetizer, pasta, and like you literally, I remember at the villa when we had that chef, you get one piece of ravioli.
Right.
One.
Right.
That's it.
That's
and then you
it.
move on to the protein.
And it's the best ravioli, and
the best.
And you're done wanting more. And I think
yeah.
I think there's something to be said about done wanting more. And that's something Americans don't do well because we have access to everything, unlimited access to unlimited foods in most places. And I think learning when to stop. I learned from being in Sweden something called lagom. They practice in Sweden, which means just enough. Or in Japan, and forgive my Japanese, hari hanme buche, which is eat like a stork. So you can only eat what fits in your beak and then wait. And so I think if we can listen to the Swedes and the Japanese, both who have a lot more carbohydrates in their diet as a percentage than we do here in the US, and they live a lot longer and they're a lot healthier, then I think we'd be better for it.
And I've also heard of something where you stop when you're still kind of hungry.
Yes, that's same thing. Yeah, because satiety lags behind ingestion. Yeah. And so there's nothing worse than going to a salad bar and just loading up with the biggest thing ever and going back, put a little bit, come bring it, eat it. And then by the time you come up the second time, you're kind of almost full. It lags behind.
I feel like we have a fear of hunger here a little bit. I mean, it's like we overshoot the mark so much, constantly eating if you're hungry, eat a snack. And I mean, there's probably nothing wrong with that if you're active and you're having 3 meals a day and 2 snacks or something like that. But I just feel like people can't tolerate hunger. And then we eat till past being full.
This is in our DNA.
Yeah.
Do you ever read Sapiens?
Yes. Yuval Noah Harari.
Yes.
Amazing. Yeah.
I've never felt smarter than walking around with that book.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't read it. It's so hefty.
Yeah.
It's so thick and it's so verbose. I'm like, I have this book. I must be smart.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the audiobook came out that I went through it.
Same. I went through half of the actual physical book, and it's like what I was saying in the beginning. It's so dense and it's so interesting, but I would read like 2 pages and then I'm like, I can't retain it. And then I listened to the rest on audiobook.
It was my sleeping drug for a while. But now it's actually my white noise. Jess laughs. It's my white noise. Anytime she walks in a room, I just have it on, the audiobook.
You should do Homo Deus.
Oh, right.
Did you read that one?
No.
Should I do that? To that one? Yeah. Okay, that one's really interesting too.
Okay. I'll do that one
in
next.
Little chunks.
But in it, he talks about how, back from thousands of years ago, food was not abundant. Actually, food was not abundant up until very recently. We had to really try and find food. And as a result, when we had access to food, we would gorge in fear of when we would be able to access food next. It's the same thing in our body. This is evolutionary. We still have it in us. Which is why when we have an unlimited amount of food, it hasn't registered in us yet because it's pretty recent. We have this unlimited amount of food that, hey, I don't have to gorge. Like, you can get food in 6 hours from now, 3 hours from now, an hour from now. Chill out. And we're not good at that.
It's actually similar to addiction, I think, at least in my experience. There was this weird kind of fear of not knowing when your next drink or drug or whatever was going to be. And so you tend to have that mentality as well. It's very like addict behavior, I think. I get that it's biologically, it's ingrained in us, and it will probably take many more thousands or millions of years or whatever to change that. It reminds me a lot of that like addict mentality.
I think dopamine plays a central role in both of those. Absolutely.
So I want to talk about training as well, because I feel like this is all great. And then you start training and your appetite goes crazy, at least for me. That was my experience before I traveled and stopped working out. I was working out a lot and I was starving. So it's like the hand was not going to cut it for me. So where does that come in?
I think the massive appetite change happens when people over cardioize. And you see in one book I wrote, I think I opened the book by giving a case study, a former client of mine who was wonderful, who typical day would be they'd wake up after lying still for 8 hours. And they would get in their car and they would drive 30 minutes sitting to SoulCycle, where they would sit on a bike in a class and they would spin their butt off, and they were just ravenous by the end of the class. And then they would have a fresh pressed juice of 400 calories and, 80 grams of sugar. And then they would have a gluten-free scone of 350 calories. And they were ravenous from doing such high intensity cardio in the class, but also this permission they gave themselves. I deserve this scone and this juice because I just worked hard in a class. And so getting away from that is really important. I find there's an optimum amount of aerobic activity to do each day, and that's why I call it steps, as opposed to putting a time amount on it. And the idea is that you don't do it in super intensely, and no one walks around the block a few times and comes back and say, God, I'm starving. I just walked around the block. No, you're probably not. And I think strength training is important because it doesn't increase your appetite in a dramatic way, but more so it increases your resting metabolism. So by putting a little more of lean muscle tissue on your body burns more calories at rest. And so you burn a few more calories per hour. And over the course of a day, a week, a month, you're burning thousands of extra calories without doing any extra exercise.
And if somebody feels like they are plateauing, then is that a nutrition fix or is that a workout tweak, or does it just depend on the person?
I think it depends on the person. There's people I know that absolutely love working out, love strength training, love all that stuff, but the food thing is an issue for them. And there's other people that have really good diets, but you just can't drag them into a gym and strength train. So everyone's different.
I also want to ask you about protein, because I feel like protein has been like the thing lately, kind of the sexy diet thing. I don't know how that happened really. But do you think there's an overemphasis on protein? We know protein is important, but do you think that that's too overemphasized and carbs are too underemphasized?
Yeah, I think in this really strange roller coaster of diet that America's had over the years, we've gone from loving carbs to loving fats to loving carbs to then loving fats again. And then we're like, well, we don't know if we love carbs or fat, but let's for sure just love protein, because we know that protein's tough to store as extra body fat because, you have to convert it to carbohydrates, and then you have to convert the carbohydrates to fat. So there's more steps required to turn that into body fat. And protein has a lot of health benefits to it. So, and it's also the one macronutrient you can't really store in a reusable way in the same way as fat. And carbohydrates, we can store carbs as glycogen. You've heard of carb loading. We all know you can store body fat. But storing protein is not the same way. So I can't remember the last time I met someone that was protein deficient. Most people are fiber deficient. You're supposed to have at least 30 grams a day, hopefully 40. I think the average American gets 11 grams of fiber per day. And that's very heavily tied into cutting carbs.
What are your favorite sources of fiber?
Two kinds of fiber, soluble and insoluble. Soluble is the kind that draws water into your stools and softens it. And insoluble creates the bulk of the stools. Water soluble, I actually love psyllium. And so I'm a Metamucil guy. There's something so delicious about that artificial orange flavor. I got to be honest, it reminds me of Tang. Remember when you were a kid, Tang?
Yeah.
Or Capri Sun?
Yeah.
There was those spaceship flavors.
I love Capri Sun.
Oh, that little packet.
You freeze it in the summer and make a popsicle.
Oh, I've never done that.
Yeah, we would freeze. I think we would we would freeze them and then we would cut the bottom off and then just squeeze it out of the pouch.
Genius.
And it was, do it for your kids.
Oh, that's genius. So I love whole grains. Whole grains, anything that expands when you put them in water. Whole grains, seeds, fruit, great source of water-soluble fiber. And then bulking fiber, my vegetables, basically any green leafy vegetable or any color vegetable has some degree of bulking fiber. So those are probably my favorites.
You mentioned fruit. I feel like fruit has become something that people are a little bit unsure of, again, because fearing carbs, fearing sugar. Let's talk about the sugar conversation, fruit and otherwise. You talk about in the book how you have a sweet tooth. I've witnessed it firsthand. And I have to say, I was surprised as well, I think, when I first saw it, which was probably years ago when we were training and you were eating cookies when I'm working out, dying. And since I've been with you in various settings where you love a cookie and you talk about this. And I'm not the only one that was surprised.
It's my steam release. It's my, on a teapot, when that water boils, there's got to be a steam release on that pot that whistles. Because if it's sealed tight shut, it'll explode. And I feel like it's the same thing. As long as I know there's something that truly brings me such incredible joy throughout the day, I don't drink alcohol. I don't use anything that's really dangerous or bad. I don't smoke cigarettes. And what brings me joy is a pastry, a good pastry. And so I strength train and I do my steps and I sleep well and I have a really great balanced diet, and I like a chocolate chip cookie every day. And that's okay because it's still within my nutrient profile. I'm not overeating calories, and I'm really happy and I look forward to it. If I take that away, and I've tried, then everything else collapses like a deck of cards. And I think when you try and create perfection in anything, real perfection, you often lose sight of the bigger picture, right? With anything. And with diet, having that, for me, it's my cookie. I always say to people, like, what's your cookie? For some people, it's a soda a day, right? Or 3 or 5 or whatever. Jess loves a really good French butter on toast, on a really great baguette.
God.
I mean, you know,
That's
my wife,
also
she's
my
in
favorite.
the most incredible shape ever. She has bread and butter every day, but everything else she eats is excellent, and she exercises and she does everything right. And so her cookie is a little bread and butter. Whatever your cookie is, know what that is and earn it. So if you're doing everything else right, you can have your cookie and feel great about it.
What is your take on Diet Coke, since we were talking about it before and since you mentioned soda?
There's a massive amount of research looking at diet sodas. All of them show weight loss associated with diet soda use. All of them.
Fabulous.
Every single one of them, you know, weight loss with diet soda use. When you hear people say, artificial sweeteners are bad, I stop them in their track because there's 8 or 9 different sweeteners. Which one are you talking about? They have nothing to do with one another. And so that's one thing. The other thing is they're called GRAS, generally regarded as safe. Any studies that you show with any sweeteners where they've shown any negative effects, it's in a lab rat for the most part. And the amount they're consuming, you and I would have to have like 500 sodas a day for many days to even come close to that it's not something we need to think about. And I think that's part of social media today. There's such clickbait that people want to see something that's like, oh, this will kill you and that's really bad. Well, read it. Take your time. Read through it.
Well, now they're calling Diet Coke fridge cigarettes.
Fridge cigarettes.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have my fridge cig now.
For me, it's Sprite Zero.
That's
Sprite
what
Zero,
you like?
7-Up. It's one of Diet 7-Up or Sprite Zero. Because there's no caffeine in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can have it like if I want at dinner and I want to have something sweet
Sprite.
and delicious. It's so delicious. There's no calories. I'm not dying from that. And I think you and I talked about this a long time ago. For anyone out there freaking out about a food dye in a maraschino cherry or a color in a Fruit Loop or all of this minutia, yet, you know, this person is 60 pounds overweight and doesn't exercise and they're focused on that random thing. It's a distraction. And if you take a look, okay, what are the leading causes of mortality and morbidity in the United States? And what are the lifestyle factors associated with each? The number one cause of death in the US by far is obesity. Diabetes, heart disease, most cancers, et cetera, stroke. The second is smoking. And then third is, I believe it's accidents. Right? So drunk driving or workplace falling off a ladder or texting while you drive. And then I believe it's mental health and addiction. So if you're not obese, you don't smoke, you're not doing drugs, you're not texting while you're driving, there's 95% of every death. Focus on that. Are you nailing those things? And before we get distracted with the other stuff, I'm not saying they're not worthy, but they're so far down the line of things we should be worried about. And if you want to have a diet soda, big freaking deal, have a diet soda. Oh, and I should say for anyone listening, I am not here being paid by any beverage company, by any sweetener company at all whatsoever. I'm not.
Yeah, and I think anybody who's hyper fixating on those things, I understand you don't want to be like consuming, you know, processed, hyper processed, artificial stuff all the time. But I think you need to really audit your life and look at these other areas. Like, are you dyeing your hair? Are you getting Botox? Do you have tattoos?
With the dyeing hair thing, am I eligible
there's
for
like
that?
These chemicals everywhere. Right. Like you can't, there's no such thing as perfection.
Right. And I think there's certain terms that we're scared from, which we shouldn't. The term artificial, the term chemical, GMO, we're confused by terms like organic and natural. We don't know what any of these things mean. Water is a chemical. Cocaine is natural. I'm serious. I mean, the lists you can go down, if you take organic milk and non-organic milk and you put them under a microscope, it's the identical same end product. When you say, I'm never going to have GMO, How about everything that you're eating is GMO? How many forms of apples do we know? There's Fuji, there's Red Delicious, there's Granny Smith. There used to be one kind of apple, it was called an apple. And through splicing one apple and putting on a tree with another, you've now genetically modified that apple and created a new species. So everyone needs to just chill out with their high horse. They got to just enjoy life, have some carbohydrates, have a piece of really good pizza. By the way, I have the best healthy pizza recipe.
No way.
The best healthy pizza recipe.
Is it on Instagram?
Yes, it's on my Instagram.
Okay.
Yes. And it's 6 minutes beginning to end.
No way.
Yes.
How do you make it?
I use a whole wheat lavash bread. I get it from Trader Joe's, but you can get a lavash bread anywhere. For anyone out there, it's like a paper thin, flat bread. I put tomato sauce on it, whatever one you want. I like Rouse, but a little bit. But before I do anything, I take that flat bread, a little bit of olive oil, and I put it in the oven for like 3 minutes to just crisp it up. Take it out, put on my tomato sauce, whatever vegetables you want. I'll use like fresh basil. I'll use thinly sliced tomato, roasted red peppers out of a jar. I love roasted red peppers. And I'll put in some really good roasted turkey. And on the top, I'll put some part skim shredded mozzarella. I'll put it back in for about 3 minutes. It's everything you love about pizzas. It's tangy, it's cheesy, it's crunchy. It's so good. You got to eat it quickly because when it cools down, it's not as good. But when it's hot, it's so good.
Let's go back to some quicker, like lightning round ones. What is a snack that everyone thinks is healthy but isn't?
Trail mix. Trail mix is, I think,
that's my weakness.
Oh, my gosh. If you take a look at the nutritional profile of trail mix, in fact, there are some films I've worked on where I had to fatten people up for a role. And I did it with three things. I did it with trail mix.
Mm-hmm.
I did it with granola.
That's my other favorite thing.
It's just too easy to eat those things, right?
I know. Yeah.
And I did it with peanut butter stuffed pretzels.
Ooh, I love those. These are all my airplane snacks, by the way. I get trail mix. I get those Quinn peanut butter stuffed pretzels.
It's insane how calorically dense those things are. And they're mindless. You just pump a fistful. Next thing you know, I just had 8,000 calories of trail mix and granola. Those dried mango packs. Look at the nutritional profile. First of all, do you know where they get most of their calories from? Oil, or a lot of their calories. Oil. There's oil in all of those. There's oil. They add sugar. It's hydrogenated palm oil. You could have like 2,500 calories of dried mangoes. People are going to hate me. It was like a humble brag. I was flying somewhere for work and I think got my ticket mixed up and upgraded me more than they should have. I think they overbooked. So they had to upgrade somebody. I got the lucky number and I had a shower on the airplane. I mean, you're not living life until one of them. You're not living life until you have a shower on an airplane and then you look around and you're like, all right, I'm done. Like, I think I've done everything in life. I had a shower on an airplane.
No, because then you can get the Singapore Air, their big suite where you have like the queen size bed.
No.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I saw it last night. All right, let's see. What's one last one? Who's the funniest person you ever trained?
Will Ferrell for sure is up there. A young Jonah Hill, hysterical. Seth Rogen, Paul Rudd, Amy Schumer, it's too funny. Sarah Silverman, like beyond hysterical. Jack Black, next level funny. All of these people are really, really funny. Yeah, I would say it's hard to say who. I wouldn't say he was my client, more of a friend, but Zach Galifianakis is probably the funniest person I've ever met.
He seems like he would be really funny and very down to earth.
He is. So the things he says, I can't repeat on air right now, but very funny.
Who is one celebrity client who surprised you the most?
Who surprised me in a good or bad way, or either? It could be either.
Either, you don't have to say.
Oh.
We can all guess.
Well, there was one, that was really bad. They're bad.
Oh yeah. I think we can guess
who surprised me in a real positive way? Gosh, so many in a positive way. Like people you would never think that are so busy and so successful. The singer Her.
Yeah, she's so nice.
Nicest human being in the world. Most respectful, hardest working, nicest person in the world. Ariana Grande, not 1 second late for anything ever. She's like 2 minutes before and like ready. And Jane Fonda, I take it back. That might be one of the funniest people I've ever trained. Really? Not because she was trying to be funny, just she's Jane Fonda. Like anything she does is like, that's Jane Fonda. Mm-hmm. But a lot of them have surprised me in different kind, wonderful, generous ways. And I say generous with their time, generous with the consideration, with their thought. So many wonderful people.
I liked your story about Halle Berry in your book, but everybody's going to have to get the book.
Yes.
And read it to hear that one.
That's right. Well, I'm going to leave people up to think what the story's about, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
Just have to buy it and read it or listen to it. You did the audiobook as well. So everybody who loves Harley's
and if
voice.
Hallie's listening to this, I would not be in the US without her. I would not have much of my career today. So a big thank you to Halle Berry.
She's for sure listening to this, obviously.
No, we know she's listening. But Halle, thank you.
Where can everybody find you? Where can everybody get the book? We'll link it in show notes.
On Instagram, I'm pretty active with my recipes. Harley Pasternak. And by the way, you didn't see today, maybe you did, but we had our Rice Krispie Square beforehand.
Are those on Instagram yet?
I'm going to post it later.
Okay, so by the time this comes out,
yeah,
it was like the best thing. I haven't had a Rice Krispies treat in probably 20 years, and it was like insane.
Someone's going to come out and say, oh, that's a GMO rice kernel in the Rice Krispies.
And it was worth it.
You know what? That person is not having fun in life.
Yeah, exactly.
That person's not having fun in life. Really.
Live a little.
So Instagram, Harley Pasternak. My website's Harley Pasternak. And if you've ever stayed at a Four Seasons hotel or different hotels around the world, you'll have been to one of our gyms. So Gym by Harley.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.